The Seven Sorrows of Mary Magdalene, or Mary Magdalene and the Seven Sorrows. This video is very, very powerful in its delivery because once again, it's all references to the seven. So seven, as we know, is completion. I've spoken about this a lot in my other videos. You know, we can talk about the seven gates of Inanna. We can talk about the seven lords of Amenti, the halls of Amenti. It's all to do with going into the underworld, going into the belly of the womb or belly of the earth, which is where all the shadow is, which we're kind of scared of. But once we get down there and we kind of like face the shadows, we realize that we can alchemize and transform that shadow into light because it's untapped power. And it was only just another part of us, our essence of us, a soul part of us that we hadn't recognized, but we were scared of it, you know. So this all cross-pollinates to do with soul retrieval. It all cross-pollinates about what it is to walk in the underworld, to face thy shadow, and all of the above. But what's the bigger picture? All right, bringing it right up to the top now, the seven sorrows of Mary Magdalene. Well, those were the seven stages that she walked through to attain mastery and to ascend in the physical body. So Mary Magdalene in her younger years, she was like possessed by demons, apparently, you know what I mean? Like according to the village and all the rest of it. And, you know, like she was a very, very troubled young person. And, you know, she was deemed as kind of like, you know, demonic because she had all of these demons on board. But actually it was just she was so powerful and she was so connected. So of course she had to go through all of that shadow, being born into a physical being as a very enlightened being in physical form, and that was her pathway to finding herself. And then of course she found Yeshua, and Yeshua, there's something called the seven demons or something like that. Yeshua released seven demons out of Mary Magdalene, but also she released seven demons from him, as the teachings go. So this seven cycle of just completion, becoming, bringing you back to home, bringing you back. Okay, so this is what she understood and what she walked through, and her lessons and her teachings. It was what her gospels are all about, on what it was that she had to do, understand, heal, whatever. She got the map and compass, basically how to claim her shadow and bring herself back to the light as a balanced being in the light and the dark, because that's the thing, we have to have that balance. Because I suppose you could call the light the cosmos and the dark is the underbelly, the womb, and we have to be okay and tapped into as above, so below, so within, so without. That's the divine balance, right? So really this pathway that we walk, okay, is basically laced and layered with dark nights of the soul, because for us to reclaim our parts, we've got to go through that shadow and darkness. But this video and her teachings are all about how long are you going to stay in the shadow though, and when do you call it to get off that merry-go-round to tap into something else? So the way that Mary Magdalene explains it is she says like that as you walk through your shadow and as you go through the dark parts of self and you go through that pain and trauma and, you know, you heal, it's not easy. It's not easy. You can get stuck there and you can stay there on what I call the healing hamster wheel, right? Where you're always going to find a layer that's really interesting to unpack and look at, and then, you know, oh yeah, this happened to me and that's going on there. And before you know it, you're constantly in this cycle of just always looking at your shadow. So when does one step out of that and then think, well, okay, I just want the good stuff now? And this is where we all get so fed up, where we're just like, oh, when's it going to end? When you say it ends. That's the empowering factor. Right. So let's rewind back in earlier days of walking the spiritual path like this. You know, the last few years have been intense, but like, you know, before we were too scared to really go into the shadow, and now we have. And there's so many of us that are just like, yeah, I'm in it. I'm in the trenches. I'm looking at my dark night of the soul. That's actually a term that just rolls off the tongue now. Everybody uses it because we're all been in it. But like now it's like, okay, hang on a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm still in it and everybody's getting frustrated. And I'm like, when's my time going to come? Because you have to call it. So this is a very powerful law of, you know, universal law, the power of discernment, knowing when to step off and to step out to the light. And Mary Magdalene calls it a star. So she says each initiation you complete. So with the seven gates of Osiris or the seven gates of Inanna or her seven sorrows, she would complete one cycle, one initiation, which could last years upon years upon years upon years. And then once she's completed that, at some point, like, you know, she has to step through that and then claim the star, the light in its all for her to be able to complete on that and go through the next gate, right? Otherwise, we just get stuck in our darkness, thinking we're doing the work, going to another healer, digging up another thing that basically came up because that happened to us and so on, going back to more past life work and all the rest of it. But when does that cycle end? So this is really powerful when what I'm sharing with you now about the power of discernment. You have the power to call it, and only you can do that. And this is the whole thing about the shadow and the shade and, you know, the smoke and the mirrors. This is what the halls of Mementi is all about, walking that labyrinth. And can you discern that that is trickery or actually honest truth? Can you call it and say, no, 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 I'm not doing that, I'm going that way? That is very much what Avalon is like as well. Avalon for me is just one big labyrinth of halls of Mementi. It's the smoke and mirrors, and it really challenges you to sort of like look with true eyes of like, what is truth? Where do I really need to be? Do I have the power in this to call this? Can I change direction? You know, at what point do you become the alchemist to transform or form all of this shadow into light and then pin your highest point of attraction on that star? Because this is very much what we speak about with the manifestation teachings, the Heka teachings, you know, the law of attraction, law of manifestation. You know, it's all about what you are focusing on, where your energy goes, or where your energy flows. That's like, you know what I mean? That's where focus goes, or the other way around, whatever. So like, at what point, when do we stop focusing on our shadow and our healing and go, right, that's done, change, I'm going on to that? Because let me tell you, if you keep healing and focusing on what needs to be aligned, what needs to be understood in the shadow, then you are going to, without realizing it, produce more shadow. And that is infinite. This is the smoke and mirrors that I'm speaking about. This is like so powerful. And this is where we go through our dark night of the soul. We go, right, okay, pull our power in, and now we reach for that star, and then we really turn into manifestation mode, and we go, right, okay, where is the light in this? Where is the light in me? And what am I choosing now? Because at some point when you're going through that kind of level of soul retrieval in a way, or that completion of that particular gate, initiation, whatever you want to call it, there will come a time where you have to call it, right? You have to call it and say, right, okay, this now needs to shift into the light. And that's where action comes in. And this is where I'm bringing in a little bit of the Heka codes and everything else, because Heka is about intention plus action equals creation. So intention is, I want to heal. Okay, so you're healing. So that's what I'm going in with. So we're doing all the deep diving, but then it's just like, well, okay, like, you know, well, I'm still in it. Well, because it takes action to step out and now apply that knowledge into wisdom. Knowledge is just something you know. Now you know, okay, I'm not a broken being. But now that knowledge that you've just picked up from your journey, you now need to turn it into wisdom, which means you have to apply it. Now, the applying it and living by it basically makes you change your narrative, makes you change the energy inside of you, makes you change direction. And that is the star that I'm talking about. So we all get stuck in that action phase, because now it's a bit like being a university grad. We've been studying for 8 years in university and been going to our classes every single day, talking to our professor, doing the experiments in-house and all that. And then he's like, right, off you go and make a career. Go and apply everything I've just taught you and go and live your life, earn your money, be creative, and live your best life as what everything you've just learned out there. Go and apply it. And then all of a sudden, oh God, this is really scary. But then that's where the magic is, because you can't stay in university all your life digging and looking at theories and trying to unlock and crack the code, because it's just like you're just hamster wheel, healing hamster wheel. So the 7 sorrows of Mary Magdalene is basically your process is my process. It's about, like, you know, we all need to write our own gospel, really, don't we? The gospel according to Mary Magdalene, the gospel according to Marie, which I'm always going on about. You know, it's like, when do you step out of it and then start to become the manifester? When do you switch over to like, right, that's what I'm focusing on every single day? Your thought processes change, the words you speak changes. And it's just like, you know, there is an embodiment, there is a willingness to go into the darkness, and you've done it. So now there needs to be a willingness to basically receive the fullness of all that hard work you've done. So you've got to call it, you know? So I basically written here how to step out of the purging and into love. You know, it's like that's basically exactly what it is. You know, it's like the purging's not easy. The purging's hard. And sometimes, well, all the time, we find it very difficult to find that love vibe and like everything's wonderful and great here because I'm purging, which means I'm learning and I'm growing. No, it's not like that, is it? You're in it. You're in the depths of it. It's hard. It's tough. It's shit, you know, but then there has to be a point where love breaks through, you know, and we want to just like not love, you know what I mean? Love, where love breaks through you. It's like it's the absolute epicenter of who you truly are. That's the star. So you have to use your powers of discernment to know, right, need to change now. And only you can do that. And that is the 7 sorrows of the Magdalene. And that's you. You know what I mean? And even men can be a Magdalene, a modern day Magdalene, but that's basically, you know, where we are. I mean, I'm looking at my notes here, the 7 gates. The 7 gates basically transform into stars. The 7 gates take you into transformation into the light. You know, it's like, when do we get to the good stuff? When you say it's ready. You know what I mean? So working with these ancient wisdoms and understandings of the 7 gates of Inanna, of the 7 chakras, actually, you could even look at something very, very simple like that. How do we work through the 7 chakras is basically, you know, obviously we know the root chakra is all to do with survival and to do with, you know, your connection to like the tribe and everything like that, you know, but it's survival, you know, it's how you're rooted in this life into the earth. And then of course we get up to the sacral, it's the masculine and feminine dance. So that's also a chakra we live through, is takes about 7 years, 7-year cycles through the 7 chakras, you know, 7, 7, 7, 7. So as we rise up through each chakra, it teaches us something different as we go through that. I mean, a chakra is a gate. As we go through each multidimensional portal, learning and growing, progression. We can't just get stuck in one place. We have to keep moving up, which is exactly why the pyramids are sitting at the top of the Nile, which is exactly why the initiations were always undergone through the temples, where you could be in a temple working in that particular, each temple is a chakra. You could be at that particular place for years upon years upon years. You know what I mean? And until you attain mastery of that level, then you go on to the next, you know, next level. And like, that's why I liken this as a game. It's a game. And there are infinite lives. But I don't want to come back and repeat this again. I want to get it right in this one because I'm ascending in this life. Do you know what I mean? So now is the time that we're really pulling back these ancient wisdoms and going, hang on a minute, this is actually very modern if I think about it. All of these, like, you know, even the seven hermetic principles, okay? 7 hermetic principles of, you know, like Thoth brings them forward. Those 7 hermetic principles are real, powerful, kind of like tools to help you understand what you need and what you need to work with just from being human. They didn't send us down here with nothing. They just said, listen, it's a bit of a shit show down there and there's a lot going on. But you know what? Take this, use this, put that in your backpack. Do you know what I mean? You know, and you might not think that you've got, you know, you might think you don't have a map and compass because you can't remember anything. But we haven't been that cruel. We've basically chucked stuff in your bits and pieces that you will unlock and you'll figure it out. Don't worry. So we didn't come here alone. We have all of our team around us, our higher self, and all of these ancient wisdom teachings, which were brought forward by the masters because they knew that we were the ones to come. And we were the ones in this lifetime, 2024 and beyond, to actually now re-anchor all of this once more. So flipping exciting when you look at it like that. And I just want to ask you now, how do you feel about your trauma and your drama and everything now? Maybe a little bit differently. Because why? You feel empowered because you have an understanding of how to move through your gates. Okay, so with that being said, I just want to thank you for listening and thank you for watching and thank you for receiving the teachings. And now is to take this knowledge into wisdom because it's sitting inside of you. It just needs to be reactivated, reapplied, and lived by. That's it. And that's all. Thank you for watching. Peace.